Tony Beets just saw his entire mining season wiped out, not because of safety concerns or environmental violations, but due to a tiny clerical error. A mistake on a single acre of paperwork ended up costing him millions. As Tony's dreams unraveled in a tangle of government red tape, Parker Schnabel saw an opportunity, and he jumped on it. "What are you talking about? What did you sign last week? A contract, right? Did you read it? It said install hydraulic riffles, didn't it? So they just show up in spring and shut us down?" Tony had barely started sluicing. It was a crushing blow. But this isn't just a story about Tony's failure. It's about how Parker didn't just capitalize on it. He strategically used it to dominate the Klondike. You won't believe Parker's record-breaking gold haul, or the betrayal that sent shockwaves through the gold mining community. An empire built over years, brought down in moments. In the Klondike, when the government says no, there's no room for error. For Tony Beets, known as the Viking of the North, this was a brutal wake-up call. His ambitious plans for the Indian River claim, a site he believed held massive potential, came to a screeching halt. And not because of broken machinery or harsh weather. It was all because of a simple piece of paper. The government shut him down in the harshest way imaginable. The issue? His water license. Somehow, amid the mountains of forms and permits, a typo slipped through. Tony believed his license covered a sprawling 15-acre claim. In reality, it only permitted mining on a single acre. That 1-acre mistake turned months of work and thousands of dollars in fuel into a complete dead end. Inspectors arrived unannounced, took one look at the paperwork, and pulled the plug. No warning, no discussion, just silence, rusting equipment, and the bitter taste of wasted potential. The timing couldn't have been worse. Tony's crew had just brought his legendary wash plant back to life, a monster that hadn't run in nearly 5 years. They had spent weeks battling rusted parts, snapped bolts, and cracked hoses. Kevin, weld it, without taking that off. You might as well just take the thing apart. You have no idea how lucky we are that we don't have to. Piece by piece, they rebuilt the aging beast. It could process hundreds of cubic yards of pay dirt per hour, but just getting it operational again was a major victory. And right when it roared back to life, the government shut them down. Imagine the blow to morale. The crew was ready for a massive season, and suddenly they were sitting idle, machines parked in silence, staring out at the mud. Days passed, and with no gold being produced, Tony was bleeding money. Between payroll, fuel, and equipment leases, the cost was tens of thousands of dollars every single day. The operation at Indian River came to a grinding halt. What happened? We got shut down. With no active claim to mine, Tony was stuck with no income, just mounting bills and a crew quickly losing hope. His only move was to fall back to his old site at Paradise Hill in a desperate bid to save what was left of the season. But Paradise Hill hadn't been touched in over a month. Roads were washed out, machines were rusting, and time was slipping away. Meanwhile, just a few miles away, Parker Schnabel's operation was firing on all cylinders. While Tony was bogged down in bureaucratic chaos, Parker was cranking out gold with ruthless efficiency. His wash plants, Big Red and Slucifer, were humming without a hitch. Parker had gambled big, $15 million to purchase 7,500 acres on Dominion Creek, making him one of the largest claim holders in the Yukon. And the bet was paying off. His team worked with precision, every move calculated, every decision backed by data. They were mining around the clock, pulling in pay dirt 24/7. While Tony's empire faltered under the weight of paperwork, Parker was building a gold mining juggernaut. There was no chaos at Parker Schnabel's mine, no guesswork. Everything ran with clean, methodical precision. Parker wasn't just digging for gold. He was building a gold empire right before everyone's eyes. He had poured millions into new land, trusting drill results that promised rich ground. While Tony Beets wrestled with rusted bolts from 5 years ago, Parker was watching his investment turn to gold, literally. The contrast couldn't have been more painful. One miner was barely holding on, the other was smashing records. The government shutdown didn't just stop Tony's operation, It handed his biggest rival the chance to take control of the Klondike. But the most devastating blow wasn't from the government. It wasn't even Parker's success. It came from within Tony's own family. Gold, blood, and betrayal. When a family like the Beets falls apart, it's not over something small. It's about control, pride, and millions of dollars buried in the dirt. Just as Tony's season hit rock bottom, something happened that made it all 10 times worse. His oldest son, Kevin Beets, made a move no one saw coming. He left his father's claim and joined the one person Tony never wanted to lose to, Parker Schnabel. Kevin's decision wasn't just a job switch, it was a declaration of war. A bold move that split the Beets family in half, leaving behind years of hard work, loyalty, and shared history. To understand the weight of what Kevin did, you need to understand how the Beets family works. Tony built his mining empire in the frozen dirt of the Yukon through sheer determination. He yelled louder, worked harder, and never gave up. His kids were raised in that world. No cartoons, no pampering. Just diesel fumes, loud engines, and heavy equipment. Kevin, the firstborn, was always expected to take over one day, to wear the Viking crown and lead the family's mining future. But gold mining doesn't care about expectations. Underneath all that dirt and pressure, things were tense. Kevin was wired differently. He thought more, calculated more, and believed in doing things smarter, not just harder. He'd gone to college, studied computers and leadership, and came back full of new ideas. But Tony was old school. His approach was simple. Move more dirt, use bigger machines, talk less. The clashes started small, disagreements over drill settings, truck routes, but they grew over time into a constant push and pull. Kevin saw ways to improve efficiency, reduce waste, and make smarter decisions using data. But in Tony's world, his word was law, and that word was usually shouted across a muddy worksite. As the Indian River project began to collapse and the shutdown hit, the pressure became too much. Kevin watched his dad fall back on outdated habits while the operation bled money. Across the valley, Parker's crew was thriving. Less yelling, more progress, newer tools, fewer breakdowns. Kevin noticed. And then he made his move. No big fight, no dramatic exit. One day, he was just gone. Packed his things, left the Beets claim, and drove over to Parker's camp. He started working there like he'd been part of the crew all along. The shock was immediate and huge. Everyone in the Klondike felt it. This wasn't business, it was personal. Tony tried to stay composed. He kept the machines running, his voice steady. But anyone who knew him could see the truth. You could see it in the way he slammed the door of his excavator, hard. All those years of raising a son to follow in his footsteps, working together through freezing winters and muddy spring thaws, gone with one quiet walkaway. For Parker, Kevin's move paid off instantly. He fit into Parker's crew like he belonged there. Hey, Parker. Hey, you here for a rock truck? Here for a rock truck, hopefully. Yeah, you can definitely buy the E. That's the one I've been eyeing the most. Tires might just need some air, or a quick check. Kevin Beets wasn't just a talented mechanic, he was a strategic game changer. Parker gave him the freedom to experiment, to fine-tune systems, and optimize workflow. Kevin brought in fresh routines and small innovations that made a big difference. The crew became faster. Downtime dropped significantly, and cleanup results started climbing. Kevin didn't just switch jobs, he rewrote the playbook. It was a massive strategic win for Parker. He didn't just hire a skilled foreman, he captured a key player from Tony's team. In doing so, he gained insider knowledge of his rival's operation. This kind of high-stakes drama isn't new to Gold Rush. In earlier seasons, the Hoffman crew was constantly at odds. Tensions between Jim Thurber and Greg Remsburg eventually pushed Thurber out. Later, Dave Turin walked away after years of struggling with poor leadership and questionable decisions. But what happened with the Beets family felt different. This was father versus son, a personal betrayal that cut deep. Tony tried to carry on, but his entire operation was limping without the one person who understood it better than anyone. As Tony scrambled to recover, Parker was on the verge of hitting the biggest jackpot of his career. This is how empires are built. Most people wouldn't look at a muddy, bleak pit and think, there's a fortune buried here. But Parker Schnabel did, and he acted on that belief. The result was a season that would become legendary in gold rush history. While Tony battled government red tape and family fallout, Parker was quietly hauling in gold at record-breaking levels. 7,427.25. Applause. This wasn't just a good season, it was historic. Parker ended the year with 7,300 ounces of gold. That's over 450 pounds of pure gold. At current prices, it was worth well over $10 million. What made it even more remarkable was that Parker's original goal had been 5,000 ounces. He didn't just meet expectations, he blew past them by more than 2,000 ounces. That kind of performance is almost unheard of. This wasn't luck, it wasn't a one-time windfall. It was the result of years of hard work, smart decisions, and strategic risk-taking. Parker had invested millions to buy his own land, a massive gamble, especially for someone so young. But his drilling program, using modern techniques to sample and map the gold-rich ground, gave him confidence. He bet big, and he won even bigger. Let's take a closer look at how he pulled it off. First, the equipment. Parker operates one of the most advanced mining setups in the Yukon. His wash plants are custom built for peak efficiency. His fleet of rock trucks and excavators is modern and well maintained. While Tony struggled to keep an aging dredge from falling apart, Parker was embracing cutting-edge technology. He even used drones to survey the terrain, creating 3D maps that helped plan every cut with precision. This allowed his crew to move dirt with maximum efficiency, reducing wasted effort and increasing yield. Every drop of fuel, every hour of machine time, it was all tracked, analyzed, and optimized. This wasn't guesswork, it was a business. Second, the crew. A leader is only as strong as the people around him, and Parker had built a powerhouse team. With Kevin Beets now managing one of the sites, his leadership core was stronger than ever. They worked around the clock in shifts, keeping the plants running 24/7. When a belt snapped or a pump failed, they didn't waste days on repairs. They hit the problem fast and had things back up and running in hours, or sometimes minutes. That kind of reliability doesn't just happen. It's built through trust, teamwork, and a shared mission. Third, the market conditions. Parker also benefited from favorable external factors. Gold prices stayed high all season long, meaning every ounce they pulled from the earth was worth more. At the same time, fuel costs stayed relatively low, an important advantage when your operation burns thousands of gallons daily. But here's the secret. None of that would have mattered without the planning, discipline, and execution behind it all. Favorable conditions alone don't guarantee success. You still have to know how to take advantage of them, and Parker did exactly that. His lean, efficient operation was built to thrive in the current market, turning good timing and strong gold prices into a record-breaking haul. It's hard to even grasp the scale of what he pulled off. Moving enough dirt to recover 7,000 ounces of gold is the equivalent of shifting an entire small mountain. When we started, I said we needed 80 ounces for it to be worth it. So yeah, I'd say that's a damn good result. It's our own ground, and I'm pumped about it. But success on that level comes with new challenges. With that much gold on the line, security suddenly became a top priority. And you can bet that once word got out about the size of Parker's haul, he became a target. The dig site turned into more than just a mining camp. It became a fortress. More cameras, tighter security, and fewer loose ends. Every single ounce had to be tracked and protected. It's the kind of problem most miners dream about, but a serious issue nonetheless. Because Parker wasn't just pulling gold out of the ground, he was building an empire. Proving that the future of mining belongs to those who combine hard work with smart strategy. But with such massive success, you have to ask, does this mean the old school way of mining is dead? Or are we missing a bigger story? Old school versus new school. At the end of the day, it comes down to two very different paths. On one side, there's Tony Beets, a battle-hardened veteran and living legend, who just endured a brutal, heartbreaking season. He got crushed by government red tape, betrayed by his own son, left scrambling with aging equipment and a shrinking window of opportunity. Then there's Parker Schnabel, the sharp young miner who played every card right and walked away with a $10 million jackpot. It's easy to see this as a straightforward tale of old ways losing to new methods, a story of outdated machines and instincts getting steamrolled by tech and efficiency. But is that really all there is to it? Let's be real, this isn't black and white. If we were sitting at a bar in Dawson City, nursing a whiskey and talking it through, we might admit there's more to the story. Because Parker's success didn't just happen overnight, and it wasn't just about having the newest gear or the best crew. It was about mindset. For generations, gold mining has been driven by gut instinct and grit, and Tony Beets is the pure embodiment of that philosophy. He can walk a claim, feel the ground beneath his boots, and just know if gold is there. But Parker? He represents a new approach, one that trusts data more than intuition. He invested heavily in exploration, drilling, sampling, testing, before ever setting up his wash plant. He knew where the gold was, how deep it ran, and exactly how to get it out. Tony took a risk on Indian River. Parker made a calculated move. Of course, luck always plays a role. Parker absolutely got lucky that the ground he bought turned out to be that rich. No geologist in the world can promise a 7,000-ounce season. But here's the thing. Parker put himself in the best possible position to capitalize on that luck. He did his homework. He minimized risk. He backed up every decision with data and planning. Meanwhile, Tony went all in on a claim with a long history of problems and relied on an ancient wash plant that was already a ticking time bomb. The government shutdown over the water license, that was just the final blow to a plan that was already hanging by a thread. So what do you think? Is Parker's high-tech, data-driven approach the only way to survive in modern mining? Or did Tony just hit a streak of bad luck that could have happened to anyone? Let us know what you think in the comments below.